I'm Charles Green with more advice on loan, and today I'm speaking with veteran SBA 504 lender Chris Hurn, who's recently launched Fountainhead Commercial Capital. Chris is well known nationally for his experience in CDC 504 lending that's taken him before the national media and is an expert witness to the House of Representatives to discuss the program. Chris, congratulations on the new enterprise you've launched. What can you tell us about your business plan?
What can I tell you about? Well, thank you, by the way, Charles. I appreciate you having me on, and thanks for the kind words. What can I tell you about our new enterprise, Fountainhead? We're going to continue doing commercial real estate financing for business owners of small to mid-sized businesses. At the moment, we are in 12 states, and we will soon be nationwide here, probably in the next, I'm hoping 45 to 75 days or so. We are going to do everything I did at my former company and more. We will not be merely interim lenders, of the second mortgage piece. We're actually going to be a third-party lender, a first mortgage lender on 504s. We will do ground-up construction, renovation. We will soon have a wholesale program that we'll be launching, again, initially in those 12 states, but shortly thereafter we hope to be in all 50 states, and I think that's going to provide really a nice shot in the arm for the small business community, especially obviously the small business finance community, because as you know, the secondary market for 504s has shrunk by about 90% over the last 4 or 5 years. So yeah, so that's in a nutshell, that's what we're doing, and it's what I love to do. It's what I'm passionate about. It's what my team is passionate about, and we're really excited. And it's so far I really haven't put much of this out there, and there's been a groundswell of people reaching out to us, and almost to the point where I think people are really excited. I think we're going to really fill that void.
Great. Well, I know you're assembling a team. Can you tell us about who's on board so far?
Sure. I've got. Let me think here. I've got 4 business development folks already. I've got a general counsel who is initially dealing with all the legal matters of the firm, but is also ultimately going to be closing our loans, our first, the interim second, and ultimately this gentleman's done almost all of his SBA approvals to get approved for the SBA debenture takeout piece. Just earlier this week hired my chief credit officer. A guy that a lot of people will probably know, and I'm unfortunately, maybe I'm already letting the cat out of the bag here, Charles, but probably one of the most experienced people in SBA 504 financing all time. A guy that used to be at Zions National Bank, which of course has been the 800-pound gorilla in this industry for some time. He was the national credit officer there. His name's Steve Ellsworth. So he just moved to Orlando and started with me 5 days ago. So Steve has done. Well, I know he's done over $4 billion in 504 first mortgage securitizations. He's probably been involved in $6.5 billion or so in total, 504 projects over time. And then, of course, I've been involved in close to $2 billion myself. And we also have a chief financial officer starting next week, who is a CPA. He's a general contractor, a very experienced commercial and high-end residential builder who will also wear the hat of our chief construction officer hat. So it's a lot of people right out of the gate, I guess. But we've got, like I said, a tremendous amount of deal flow already we're looking at, and a lot of people that we're excited about working with. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And we'll see what happens over the next couple weeks. Maybe there'll be some more folks that'll be coming over here soon.
Excellent. Chris, you're best known for the ongoing success of another company that you founded, Mercantile Capital Corporation. And you sold that company in 2010, I believe. Will Fountainhead be different from your earlier company?
Yeah, I mean, there's some aspects of the earlier company that I want to make sure that we get back and start with from scratch at Fountainhead. We always had, I think, a great corporate culture. I ran things, kind of like a family, and I love my former team, and I hope to work with a lot of those folks again in the future. But as I said before, we're not merely going to do interim second mortgages, which is kind of what my old company has sort of been forced into that corner a little bit. We're going to be different from the beginning. Really, part of the reason why I'm doing this is because I just didn't feel like we could fulfill our full potential under the bank's umbrella. And it's, there's a reason, as you know, Charles, you've written a lot about how the rise of sort of the alternative/innovative finance companies over the last 4 or 5 years since the recession. And I just think there's a lot of opportunity for a non-bank lender to make some of the reasonable credit decisions that unfortunately a lot of lenders around the country, bank, credit union, non-bank lenders, have not been able to do as much since the recession because there's that much more regulatory scrutiny. And it's I understand why it's there. I mean, it always has the best intentions, of course, but it somewhat causes some problems. Sometimes there's when you're bumping up against construction bucket limits and high loan to value bucket limits, and you've got government guaranteed takeouts, it's just not as rational, perhaps, some of the limitations that are put upon some lenders. And I hope that we'll be able to I don't think it's going to constrict our growth, and I'm excited about being able to operate outside of some of those matters and really make the SBA effectively our sole regulator. And that's what's going to. So I'm really excited. I think we're going to be able to do some things that certainly we just couldn't do at my old firm. I mean, it's one of those situations. You've heard the old story about a ship is in a storm needs to go into port, but that's not the best place for a ship. Well, in many ways I kind of feel like Fountainhead is leaving port, and we're trying to go and spread our wings and do some amazing stuff and help a lot of small business borrowers in the process.
Okay. Let's turn to the 504 program just a minute while I've got you, Chris. Based on remarks that I picked up in the House Small Business Committee last week, they apparently have no interest in renewing the CDC 504 refinance provisions that were allowed in 2011 and 12. Do you think this is a dead issue?
I sure hope it's not. I mean, it made up in that roughly 13 months where it was truly operational after the agency had really put out exactly how it was going to work. It was about a third of the volume during those 13 months, and it was a really good boost to the industry. And most importantly, though, it really helped a lot of small business borrowers. I mean, the regs were written in such a way that we could only refinance somebody who had previously gotten a conventional commercial mortgage, and they had to have been it had to have been a performing loan for the preceding 12 months. So it was arguably these are some of the best loans that the SBA's made in a long time. I mean, the people that I've spoken to, I don't know of anybody who's had a loss yet from any of those loans that were refinances back in fiscal year 12. So I mean, I don't know. I mean, the winds of politics are pretty interesting, as you know, Charles. I know that it was in the president's budget. I know that the program going back to zero subsidy is in the president's budget, and obviously it being at zero subsidy for the 504 program, I've been a huge advocate of for a long time. I think the more you can be independent of government, the more longevity you have as a program. Take a subsidy, you're fundamentally dependent on a handout, and I don't think that's a very healthy position for the industry. So I'm excited about possibly advocating for this again. I think it makes great sense. You've probably seen some of the numbers like I have. The amount of 10-year ballooning commercial mortgages that are coming due in 2015, 2016, and 2017 are the largest amount there's ever been in the history. And not all of them will be eligible for SBA 504, but a disproportionate amount will. It'll be a real shame if we as an industry can't get together and convince the folks on Capitol Hill that this is a great program. And when you're able to have longer terms, you're able to give some cash back for legitimate business purposes, for improvements that were made after a closing, okay, and you're able to lock in lower interest rates, that will create jobs, which is, of course, always the issue about the 504 program. It's, everybody will say it's supposed to be about job creation, economic development. Tell me how you can't do that if you have that situation, that sort of that perfect storm coming together. You're going to create more jobs. You're going to have better economic development. And I think that's why I hope that my brethren in the 504 industry will get together and really push this on Capitol Hill this spring. And hopefully we can get refinance back, because it makes a big difference. And plus you have this issue, Charles, that it's never made sense to me as an aside that one SBA program is able to do refinances, but the other one can't. It just seems patently unfair. I think they both ought to be able to do that. Let the small business owner pick, and let's help as many people as we can, which I know that's what the agency wants, and I know that's what the folks in both both the Senate and the House side on the committees, that's what they want to do too. So this is a great program that does that, and it even has additional fees, which will actually bring more money to the agency.
Right.
So I think it's a great thing, and you can be rest assured I'll be championing it as much as I can. Absolutely.
The 504 program lending volume has sunk significantly since that short-lived refinance privilege ended at the end of the fiscal year 2012. In your opinion, what's needed to really pick up interest back to the 504 program?
Well, there's a couple things, and actually, you and I have talked about this offline a few times. I mean, I think part of it is, obviously, we just talked about refinance. If we can get refinance back for 504, I think that'll make an impact, certainly. I think, we're going to be entering into a rising interest rate environment. I don't know when. I don't have a crystal ball like anybody else, but I suspect it's going to be sometime in the next 6 to 12 months. You'll see short-term interest rates rise, and when that happens, you always the differentiation of a 504 versus some of the other competing products out there. I think the 504 really shines in that environment. But I also think people that are in the industry have to understand that we need collectively to do a better job educating the marketplace about this product. I've often called it the best kept secret of commercial real estate financing. Unfortunately, it still is, and we need to do a better job marketing it and educating it. I also think, as we talked about at the beginning of this call, the secondary market has dramatically decreased, roughly 90% from its peak in 07 and 08. And hopefully, folks like myself, and I know there's a lot of other good folks out there that are trying to bring some secondary market solutions to the 504 space. And I think when you do that, I believe there's pent-up demand. I believe there's a lot of portfolios that a lot of lenders would like to be able to sell off. And when they do that, they have that liquidity event. They will have some more liquidity. They can go out and re-lend as well. So you also have this issue of interest rates being at historic lows. They're not going to stay here for much longer. And I'm hoping that the business community is smart enough to, if you've been putting off converting your leased payments into an owning payment, into a mortgage on your commercial real estate, hopefully some of those folks will really get off the sidelines and take some action here in the next 12 months before interest rates really start to rise from here. But I just think it's a confluence of a lot of different things, Charles. But I am, I feel like we're starting at a good time, and I do think you're going to see volumes increase from here. I predicted a couple years ago that with the expiration of FMLP and refi that you were going to see a drop in 504 volume, and sure enough, that's what we've seen now for 3 fiscal years in a row. But I think the timing's good for it to come back. I mean, I'm kind of fundamentally contrarian, so maybe or maybe an eternal optimist. I don't know, but I'm excited, and I think we're certainly at Fountainhead are going to make a big impact in there. We're going to certainly try our best, that's for sure.
Thanks for sharing those insights, Chris Hurn. I'm Charles Green. Join us again for Advice on Loan.